Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder on this beautiful Sunday morning. Hello, my name is Tom Dengenwolf, and I will be the worship leader for today's service. We welcome all at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. If you're a new visitor, please email our office manager, Amy Tsen, and let us know how you found us. You will find her email in the Zoom chat. Our church website, also posted in the chat, has a great deal of information about the church and our activities. Now, please ensure your microphones remain muted and join us for worship. This morning's Earth Day service is brought to you by the Climate Action Ministry team, of which I am a member. We are excited to have Dr. Anita Sanchez with us this morning as our guest speaker. A Nahuatl, which we might know as Aztec, and a Mexican American, Dr. Sanchez is a transformational leadership consultant, speaker, coach, and author of The Four Sacred Gifts, Indigenous Wisdom for Modern Times, winner of the 2019 International Latino Book Award. A CU Boulder alumna, she bridges Indigenous teachings with the latest science to inspire and equip women and men to enjoy meaningful, empowered lives and careers. Let the words of Lady Bird Johnson center us for this morning's worship service. The environment is where we all meet, where all have a mutual interest. It is the one thing all of us share.
Over the
If you have a personal chalice or candle near If you have a personal chalice or candle near your computer, please get ready to light it. We invite you to type into the chat box where your chalice is lit, the street or neighborhood, or what city if you're joining us from outside Boulder County. Now I'd like to invite Timothy Bailey to light this morning's chalice.
Good morning. My name is Timothy Bailey,
Hey,
and I
Ed.
am part.
Ed, I can't hear anything. I can't hear.
Good morning. My name is Timothy Bailey.
Can't hear
I'm part of
anything.
the Climate
I think
Action Ministry of this church. We organized this service for Earth Day 2021, as well as Earth Day services every April for the past 6 years. I actually joined CAM, as our group is often called, several months before joining this church in 2013. In fact, for decades, my wife, Susan Bailey, and I had been longing for a community of such caring and committed folks as we have found here. For 16 years, we had been without a church. In midlife, we left our small town in Ohio. We migrated to Boston and then later to Boulder. In 2013, we first visited UUCB, and from our first Sunday, we knew we had at last found our church home. Finding my own community for environmental action has been an even longer quest. Way back in 1970, I was a college student. News headlines revealed environmental destruction, jungles defoliated by Agent Orange, choking urban smog, a coast clogged with oil, and a river on fire. On the 22nd of that April, I helped to celebrate the first Earth Day. Since that long ago April, awareness of our vulnerability spread, and some protections became law. And over the years, more folks around the world have begun to seek a better world. And yet, during the next 40 years, I felt increasingly frustrated as evidence mounted of coming global ruin. Finally, I could no longer wait to do something. And so I had been looking for a climate action group when in 2013, we first visited this church. I could not believe my luck when I learned that a climate action group had just started at UUCB. My luck held when I abruptly showed up at the next meeting and was welcomed by these sturdy idealists. Our group has been busy over the last 8 years. We helped to start and still actively support the Boulder chapter of Citizens Climate Lobby. We have led discussions on topics such as carbon farming, electrifying home energy use, and levying a tax on carbon. We have also led letter writing events and persuaded the endowment committee at UUCB to divest from fossil fuel industries. Currently, we of CAM are looking for ways to support those most vulnerable to climate disruption: the poor, racial minorities, indigenous peoples, as well as the young of every social group. We invite others to join the Climate Action Ministry and implore all to seek ways to better live on our one earth. I like this chalice, yearning for a more beautiful world, which, if we so choose, we all can help birth.
We now invite all those gathered in your various locations to join together in fellowship and community as we say aloud our congregation's covenant. We gather in fellowship
to
to
speak
speak
the truth
truth
of
of
each
each other,
other,
to
to
reach
reach
out
out
and
touch
one another,
to
bear with each other,
speak the
and
truth
to
divine.
speak truth divine.
So
be
be it. Oh, Lisa's visiting.
For our blessings and concerns this morning, I'd like to offer something a bit different. This is a virtual version of a favorite spiritual practice that Steve and I developed for the meditation hikes we led in Rocky Mountain National Park when we had an environmental nonprofit up there. Begin by getting comfortable in your seat, or you may stand if you wish. You may close your eyes slowly. Take several deep, relaxing breaths. In your mind, visualize a beautiful hiking trail stretching out in front of you. The weather is fine and you're feeling great as you walk along the trail. Ahead, you see a bridge which crosses over a beautiful stream. You walk up onto the bridge and stand in the middle of it against the railing, looking downstream at the water as it bubbles and flows away from you. The water invites you to cleanse yourself of anything that worries or concerns you, anything that you no longer need, anything that hinders you. As you breathe deeply, you find that you can release your concerns into the care of this healing water. You name your concerns to yourself and watch them float away. If you wish, you may type your concerns into the chat box to release them that way. And you watch the swirls of water as they carry away your concerns, leaving you feeling clear and at peace. Now you turn around and stand against the opposite bridge railing, looking upstream at the sparkling water that flows toward you. You find that the water carries with it all manner of blessings which are offered to you freely. Breathing deeply, you are filled with just the blessings and gifts that you need. To yourself, You name the blessings which are coming to you, carried by the pure water. If you wish, you may type the blessings into the chat box to acknowledge them. And you gaze at the sparkling water and are filled with a sense of wholeness, serenity, and gratitude for this gracious gift of nature. Now it is time to return. So you turn around and go back down the trail and return to the here and now. For all these blessings and concerns, as well as those that remain silently on our hearts, we hold this compassionate space with love. Thank you for all the ways you bless each other.
This morning's reading is the poem Earthrise, written and recited by National Youth Poet Laureate Amanda Gorman.
On Christmas Eve, 1968, astronaut Bill Anders snapped a photo of the Earth as Apollo 8 orbited the moon. Those three guys were surprised to see from their eyes a planet looked like an Earthrise, a blue orb hovering over the moon's gray horizon with deep oceans and silver skies. It was our world's first glance at itself, a first chance to see a shared reality, a declared stance, and a commonality, a glimpse into our planet's mirror. And as threats drew nearer, our own urgency became clearer as we realized that we hold nothing dearer than this floating body we all call home. We've known that we're caught in the throes of climactic changes some say will just go away, while some simply pray to survive another day. For it is the obscure, the oppressed, the poor who, when the disaster is declared done, still suffer more than anyone. Climate change is the single greatest challenge of our time. Of this, you're certainly aware. It's saddening, but I cannot spare you from knowing an inconvenient fact, because it's getting the facts straight that gets us to act and not to wait. So I tell you this not to scare you, but to prepare you, to dare you to dream a different reality where, despite disparities, we all care to protect this world, this riddled blue marvel, this little true marvel, to master the verve and the nerve to see how we can serve our planet. You don't need to be a politician to make it your mission to conserve, to protect, to preserve that one and only home that is ours. To use your unique power to give next generations the planet they deserve. We are demonstrating, creating, advocating. We heed this inconvenient truth because we need to be anything but lenient with the future of our youth. And while this is a training in sustaining the future of our planet, there is no rehearsal. The time is now, because the reversal of harm and protection of a future so universal should be anything but controversial. So, Earth, pale blue dots, we will fail you not. Just as we chose to go to the moon, we know it's never too soon to choose hope. We choose to do more than cope with climate change. We choose to end it. We refuse to lose. We do this and more, not because it's very easy or nice, but because it is necessary. because with every dawn we carry the weight of the fates of this celestial body orbiting a star. And as heavy as that weight sounded, it doesn't hold us down, but it keeps us grounded, steady, ready, because an environmental movement of this size is simply another form of an earthrise. To see it, close your eyes, visualize that all of us in this room and outside of these walls or in these halls, all of us change makers, or in a spacecraft floating like a silver raft in space, and we see the face of a planet anew. We relish the view, we witness its round green and brilliant blue, which inspires us to ask deeply, wholly, what can we do? Open your eyes, know the future of this wise planet is right in sight, right in all of us. Trust this earth uprising, all of us bring light to exciting solutions never tried before, for it is our hope that implores us at our uncompromising core to keep rising up for an earth more than worth fighting for.
Good morning. Good morning, all my precious relations. I'm Dr. Anita Sanchez, and I feel really honored to be here with this community for the second time. Several years ago, I came and with my husband, and we introduced a drawdown workshop in which many came. And so when I'm able to put it on being able to see gallery, I can see some of you that were there, and I appreciate you being here. I'm also very much struck as I go into talking about in right relations. It feels like this community, I'm speaking to the choir, which is always wonderful. Because in Indigenous country, when we get together with Indigenous family, which I do quite often, it is also like speaking to the choir, but one can never be reminded enough that we're all connected. So I'd like to first start with the beginning, which is where I always start with the elders, is our connection to where we are. And so I want to just acknowledge that we are gathered here on the ancestral lands, and we pay respect to the Indigenous peoples. Here, if you're in the Colorado area, Boulder, Denver area, it would be the Ute people, the Cheyenne people, and the Arapaho. They're the original caretakers. And so I give gratitude to their ancestors, but they are also still here. And they are also still in community, working with the various allies in this community as well, in right relations and others. So I give gratitude today to be able to stand and sit on this land, to breathe in the air and feel the power of the mountains, the power of the land, the power of all the winged and the four-legged and the water that I can see a little bit from where I am. And to all of you, the two-leggeds. I ask you to listen with the softest part of your ears and expanding heart. Because in this time, just as Sandra Gorman had talked about, we must deal with climate justice, which is racial justice. It's essential. It's not something that we can ignore. And as I hiked this morning to go to the top of the ridge to do my ceremony before I came here with my buffalo pipe, asking for the ancestors to have me be and say and present in a way that your softest part of your ears and your expanding heart could actually integrate and find valuable. So when I saw your covenant, we gather in fellowship to speak truth to each other, to reach out and touch one another, to care with each other, and to seek the truth divine. So be it. What better place to be this morning? And so let's speak truth. I'm going to ask you, you'll be able to see if you put on gallery or just even the folks there. I'm going to ask you just a couple of questions, and I'd like you to raise your hand. I didn't set up a poll. Just put your hand next to you if that applies to you. How many of you are feeling that parts of every day that you're feeling discouraged or fearful or just plain sad during parts of the day? Just put your hand up by your face. I'll just have you leave them there for a moment so others can see. Okay, you can put them down. Thank you. And how many of you find yourself feeling hopeful, a sense of possibility, almost sometimes joyful, and that you know that we have everything we need to face these challenges? Please raise your hand up next to you. Okay, now you can put them down. And now my last question is, how many of you raised your hands for both questions? Please put your hand up beside your face if you did. Yes. Yes. This is what you can put your hands down. This is what we're finding as we do ceremony. And fortunately, even though it's not the same since COVID, we continue to do ceremony. But before that, I was encouraged chanting and the different dancing and the different connecting and listening. Mother Earth was telling us the same thing. And that was that we must hold both. That with the challenges we're facing, what is the main step that people take is, well, then do something. Do something to change, to stop the suffering. Do something to really show our love for everything that is, both in nature and two-legged, everything. So do something. If it's all out of sorts, do something. And if that's not, do something else and do something else. And we heard that from Mother Earth. But what we also hear very clearly as Indigenous people is that we are human beings, not human doings. And yet, in the various ceremonies, Mother Earth spoke back, because we've known that for millennia. It's been passed down to us. We're human beings. It's how we be will impact how we do. And what we do is totally a mirror of how we be in the world. So in many respects, what we found is that, just as Sandra said and as Tom said earlier, we are one world. We are one relative. And as my uncle, as early as I can remember, at age 2 or 3, in the Osage Reservation, he would always start with putting, he was a small man, but felt really big to me, and he put his hands in a circle. And he said, this is what it means to be a two-legged, to be a human being. That is to understand your connection to people, earth, and spirit. And to understand that means to know that, and he would look at one of them, we were like, hopefully he didn't look at us because he was really such a strong presence, and he would say, now, if you do something bad to your sister or your cousin or the stranger you don't even know in the store, if you don't acknowledge them, their humanity, their dignity, then you not only hurt the people, you hurt the earth and you hurt spirit. And if you spit in that water, if you throw toxic things on the earth, you not only hurt the earth, but you hurt spirit and the people. And when we don't acknowledge that we're one, if we don't acknowledge our interconnection, as you do in your 7 principles, but if we do not do that, then we also hurt spirit. We hurt not acknowledging the sacredness of all of us. So to be in right relation is a very important thing for us to ask ourselves in every moment. And it isn't every moment in every breath. It's in every moment in every breath you can choose. Am I going to be good medicine or bad medicine? Good medicine is anyone or anything that puts into alignment the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. And bad medicine is anyone or anything that takes that out of alignment. And we get to choose that in every breath and every moment. And so in hearing your call of all the things that you do, I remember when I was there a couple of years ago, you were caring for an undocumented family. And I thought, oh, yes. And then so many there with so much great understanding about carbon and a lot of involvement with Citizens Climate Lobby. And I went, oh, they understand. And then we just have to keep asking ourselves, because it is too easy to forget. So I want to share with you, there are many prophecies that are unfolding right now. And so part is I wanted to lift you up. I want you to feel inspired. But part of it is also that covenant of yours says to tell the truth. So I want to also to know that in Indian country, it is tough. It is horrific. We are losing elders, suicide rates, the absence of clean water, all the things that have been for now centuries have just gotten highlighted with that little bug, because all of that had existed for hundreds of years, but not much attention. The climate calling out to us, the Mother Earth telling us, please reverse your behavior, reverse what you're doing, telling us in so many ways of the different things that are happening. And it didn't seem to get our attention. But this little bug has gotten our attention all over the world. And so in our ceremonies, in all the different four directions, we know we hear from some people that this is what we've brought upon ourselves. But what we are hearing from Mother Earth is that she loves all of us, all her relatives, all her children, that she had to give us something really strong that we had to pay attention to. And so this is the moment, and this is why you choose to spend your Sunday morning when it's such a beautiful, lovely blue sky day. It was hard for me to come down from the top of that mountain with my pipe. But then I knew my relations were here. And so I want to tell you about the Eagle Hoop prophecy and the gifts that belong to all of you. And then I want to share a little bit about the Amazon, about this sacred headwaters and the rights of nature, just a few things. And then I know those later we can always talk more about them. So in the 90s, we have prophecies. Indigenous people have lived for prophecies, and some of them are 600, 700, 800 years old. Some of them are shorter. Some of them, not surprisingly, maybe came from the Hopi, but at the same time in New Zealand, the Maori had the same prophecy show up, because we're all connected in talking to Mother Earth, listening to her. And so the Eagle Hoop prophecy was a prophecy that came about by a Mohican elder. He had a vision, and in that vision was a tree, and the tree was dying. And as the tree died, all the limbs and leaves fell off, and the tree trunk became a hoop. And then from the sky fell the branches, the twigs and limbs, and they turned into eagle feathers, 100 of them. And then Spirit told him, you must call out. The two-leggeds have forgotten in a winter time like no other, that will last much longer than the winter you're used to, is coming. The two-leggeds can make a difference. They've forgotten. They're not bad, they're not evil, they've forgotten, and you must call out. He called out, and 27 elders from around the world responded. They came together in Turtle Mountain, Chippewa in fall of 1994. And in that weekend, I felt, as I was listening to your service and opening my heart and listening with the softest part of my ear, I can imagine the elders who I've spoken to who were there. They sang in their language, they spoke in their language, they meditated, they danced, they created this hoop, and then they put 4 gifts in there. 4 gifts that Spirit said, the promise is if you use these 4 gifts, not once, not twice, integrate them. You're going to be using them all the time, that you will remember. There is no way you cannot remember in every breath and every choice of whether you're going to be in right relationship or not. And so the 4 gifts are: the first gift, the power to forgive the unforgivable. The gift of the power to forgive the unforgivable. Put that in the ceremonial part of your heart. And with your breath, allow to come forward whatever is calling to you that needs to be forgiven. And some of you be going, nope, I don't want to go there. Just allow your heart. Your heart is expansive to hold that. And then the second gift the elders put into the hoop was the gift of the power of healing. The gift of the power of healing. Put that into the ceremonial part of your heart. And as you do that, you may become aware of what wasn't seen or felt before, of what needs to be healed. And when we say healing, it's not just physical, but spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. Those are all interwoven. And then the third gift the elders from all the different traditions put into the eagle hoop was the gift of the power of unity. The gift of the power of unity. Put that in the ceremonial part of your heart. Affirming why you're here. Affirming the need to come home and get filled up so that you can go out in your larger home and continue to use this gift of unity that's so desperately wanted at this time with such separation, such angst, meanness, death. The gift of unity. And then the fourth gift the elders put in the hoop is the gift of the power of hope. Hope in action. Put the gift of the power of hope into the ceremonial part of your heart. And as you do that, it may come forward to you, what is the dream that you have? It may come to you, oh, I had that dream, but I gave it away. Or I need to dream some new dreams. Relevant to now. Relative to be a human being in the hoop of life. So that each of us can be a life-giving force. And so these gifts, as they finished their ceremony, the fire was down, and what was told to me is they began saying to each other, they were so filled up and love Mother Earth and the Spirit, and to get these gifts, and they were going to take it back to their tribes in Asia and Africa, in Europe, all through the Americas. And they said the embers rose, and what they all felt and some heard was that no, these gifts are for all humanity, all humankind. The illusion of separateness is just that. Take these out to all our two-legged relations, and we will have harmony and balance again. So since that time, I have used those gifts. Since 1995, I was in the presence of the hoop, and I began using these gifts and taking them into corporate C-suites and into communities. I took them into the Amazon with me to share, and everywhere the people hear the gifts, they use slow down, like, what, I want to have these gifts. I know they're already mine. And that's the truth. It's just to use it. We have everything we need. And I know that's said, but it's only known and believed when you understand we are the hoop of life. We are nature. We are connected. Our relatives, our ancestors know each other, just as we know each other now today. And so with our different spacesuits, all this craziness of separation and who's white supremacy and all these things are just being pushed right up into our face. And I'll tell you, I've sobbed outside in my house, and I've held others sobbing, retriggering what we always knew was happening all the time. My own father was murdered on a race-related thing in 1967, mistaken for a black man. A white man murdered him. And I've forgiven that man. I've used the 4 gifts. I'm really grateful for them. And it doesn't mean we forget what happened, but what it does mean is we all love ourselves enough. And that's what I feel when I see your faces, when I see the love of the CAM group, of all the time they put into this being the most beautiful thing for each of you to experience this morning, is that we are one. So just a couple of words about these gifts are being used everywhere. But one of the things that's most hopeful and exciting to me is the whole rights of nature, climate justice. And who would have thought that out of a small country of Ecuador would be the first country to have the rights of nature in their constitution back in 2008. And it came from the visions and the work of the indigenous people there. And they gathered with their allies, but it was them who knew that it was time that we had to begin to give voice to those who don't have voice. As you said, we need to give voice. We need to follow and support, not tell, but listen to those most vulnerable. And they did that. And today, it doesn't mean everything is well, because we've seen the fire still burning in the Amazon. In the northern parts where I'm talking about, the sacred headwaters, my family there, goes out, especially towards edges, as this COVID has taken on making poor people even poorer. People are coming in, they're trying to build roads, they're taking the balsa wood. And what is the response? The response is clear, strong love. They go and stand. They don't have guns and stuff, but they go and stand to stop what is happening. But they also reach out and say, how can we change this? We know you are suffering. We get to choose to be good medicine or bad medicine in every breath. And from their work, what I want to bring it back to here, not that we're all connected, but bring it back to this country, has begun the whole rights of nature, and in Europe. But the part that I'm very excited to, and I felt like when I was on my mountaintop today, it said, tell them about the indigenous people. Tell them about what's happening. And what's happening is that in the various nations of people here, indigenous sovereign nations, some 569 of us that are recognized, and then there are more. The conversations have been happening, putting rights of nature as part of their constitutions, which startles, more than startles, I'm being quite kind, really angers some business folks who feel that they do that, it's going to hurt the mining, it's going to hurt all the excavating that's happening, and it will. They're putting in the rights of nature. So it's putting another thing on top of this. And so what makes me happy is to see all the allies coming and saying, tell us what we can do. How can we help to make this happen? And this web is happening all over the world. This is the prophecy said. The illusion of separateness through all this pain, almost like birthing. We all want to, as women, if you've had a baby, you're like, please let it come, please let it go. But you have to go through the process, and we're in it. And in ceremony, it's a long, long process. We are not near done. And that's not to make us, but that is to say, yes, I can lead the most meaningful life ever because of all the things that are needed. So I want to stop with that. What I would like you to do is continue listening with the softest part of your ears and expanding heart. I want you to listen to a song that was created with the messages of the Eagle Hoop prophecy with these 4 gifts. As you allow what already is in you, but you put in the ceremony of your heart to really integrate that. And the words will be on the chat, and so you can follow along. And I also just want to let you know that you can get this song if you want to go to forsacredgifts.com, which I believe also is in the chat, and you can download it for free. Or if you want, you can just go to iTunes or Spotify, and it's there. It's called In Right Relations. And I do feel like I'm with two-leggeds who have been remembering, who know that it is time for us to do, but also understand it is a direct reflection of how we be. And with that, could you play the song In Right Relations, sung by both Indigenous and non-Indigenous people from age 9 to 68. There were 9 of us.
Yahweh, Yahweh, Swami Ho, Yahweh, Yahweh, Swami Ho, da da de ho, da da de. Standing in right relations, embracing the 4 directions. Forgiveness is a way to freedom. Separateness is illusion. I'm talking about sacred giving. Grandmother, indigenous wisdom. Young and old, elders are rising. We protect the wisdom traditions. You know you can't hold us back. We stand for truth and right relation. We are healing from the inside out, from the inside out. From the inside out. Endangered on the brink of extinction. See the youth run from separation. Hope is the choice that we're making as we change the world with intention. We are dreaming reconciliation. Dignity for all is our vision. Let us run, live free in our unity. We're indivisible when we listen. You know you can't hold us back. We stand for truth and right relation. We are healing from the inside out, from the inside out.
Let the tears become a river. Let the river go to sea. Let the waves carry us to shore. Let we all just run free. Let we all just run free.
You know you can't hold us back. We stand for truth and right relation. We are healing from the inside
from the inside out.
This month, we share 100% of our offering plate with the Boulder County Crisis Fund. This fund was established by the Community Foundation serving Boulder County in response to the King Soopers grocery store shootings. As the foundation notes, we have lost 10 friends and neighbors. We have lost a member of our police force. We have lost a sense of safety and a piece of our hearts. At UUCB, we stand together as we honor the memory of the 10 lives lost and seek to rebuild our beloved community after this devastating event. Just as the star shines on Flagstaff Mountain, so too are we at UUCB a beacon of light. We connect bravely, deepen spirituality, embody justice, and always love. We can make a difference together. Many local businesses are advertising their support of the Boulder County Crisis Fund. Some are even matching donations. Your contribution today will join with so many others. Thank you. You can make a donation now using the link posted in our chat by sending a check to UUCB or scanning the QR code on the next slide with your mobile phone. Thank you for your generous support. Please be as generous as you can. We will now receive the offering. May our gifts be used to enact justice, bringing peace and love to the world.
The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The land is holy, and so are we. The land is holy, and so are we. The land is holy, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. Oh, this is where we are called to be. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. Oh, this is where we are called to be.
We close with the words of Chief Seattle. Humankind has not woven the web of life. We are but one thread within it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. All things are bound together. All things connect.
Go your way in peace, wander as you may. Blessed is the path you take, may love guide you on your way. Go your way in peace, wander as you may. Blessed is the path you take, may love guide you on your way.
We invite you to stay with us in our Zoom rooms for a time of online fellowship and discussion. The Zoom lobby focus today is hosted by the Climate Action Ministry team, featuring Dr. Anita Sanchez. Barb and Fred are here to tell us how this is going to work. Barb and Fred?
Well, Fred's here. Hi.
Oh.
I'm Fred Cole. Thank you,